I think what the show did well that appealed to me about the character was it's not saying like her life is empty when she's in the chair. In fact, it's
Mhm.
quite the opposite. Like her mental acuity is sort of what defines her, and she has a personality and she
Mhm.
has romance. And there's this, there's a scene in the first episode that I did with David Blue talking about how Amanda had this crush on Rush, and he kind of looks at her like askance, and she's like, "What, you don't think that people, who are in wheelchairs can have romantic feelings for people?" And
Mhm.
he's like, "No, no, no, I'm just surprised that it's him that you have romantic feelings for."
Right. He's lived with him for weeks at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, so I think the way that that was handled to not say, "Hey, this is the dream fix that we can totally remove this obstacle for you and now your life suddenly has meaning." Rather, they were saying, "There's meaning to your life and now you're
Mhm.
experiencing life in a body in a way that you haven't since." I think they had it that Amanda was maybe 9 when she had her injury.
9 years
So
old. That's right.
yeah. Yeah. So I think it did that really nice job of not condemning the experience of having an injury that would
Mhm.
result in being in a chair the way that Amanda was, and also offers an opportunity to discover physicality, which was a really, really fun thing to play. So getting that role is actually probably my favorite audition story in my entire career. Um,
Wow.
because I'll tell you how it went. So I want to say I was like something like 26 or so when I got the part. I was mid 20s when I got this
Yeah.
role. I was auditioning for something else. I was auditioning for this show that was made by I forget what it's called, but it was made by the guys who did Baywatch. It was a pilot. I don't know if it actually went to series, but I went in, did the audition anyway, did my best version of like agile, athletic, sexy, beachy, young. And the casting director chased me out of the room and he said, "Hey, so you're not going to get this part. This is not going for you. But I was watching you thinking you just solved a problem for me because I have this other role that I think you'd be perfect for. Call your manager, tell her it's Amanda Perry, Stargate Universe." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, I'd love to go to Stargate." I called my manager. I was like, "I'm not going to get the beach thing, but the Stargate." And she said, "That's weird. Like, usually if there's a part that you're right for, it would be on my radar. And this one's not ringing a bell." So she's like, "I'll look into it." And she called me back and she was like, "Well, it wasn't on my radar for you because the character is listed as a 40-year-old quadriplegic." And I was 26 trying to be athletic. And she was like, we just didn't think that you would be the right fit for this." And so then but anyway, I was like, "Well, let's see if I can get it." And I went in, got it. And then later saw the casting director and I was like, "What did I do when I was trying to be the most agile, athletic, youthful beach girl that made you look at me and go, 'No, but what you are, what I see in you is this scientist in space.'" And he was like, "I don't know. You just like, there's just something about you." So I just found that to be such a funny thing where like you never know what you're projecting in these rooms that like I thought I was like really gunning for this one thing, and diametrically opposed, like literally somebody who has not been in her body for 30
Right.
years or something, is what he ended up seeing when I was trying to do this like different thing. So I'm just really glad that it went that way.
That
Just
is that is just
sorrow.
wild because,
Yeah.
I love the the first episode where she is freed of her physical form and she's on the ship and doesn't know what to do with her arms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's like, she has them up in space here for a while, and it's like she's not used to the signals coming to her brain anymore. What was that like to portray?
It
How
was
much research did you do? Did you talk to quadriplegics?
I didn't have a ton of
Okay.
time, but I did look at videos. Like I looked at interviews, I looked at some like doc content. So yeah, and I was like, "Okay, well, what is this?" This is like it's the spinal cord. So it's not that like it's not that there are no muscles in here. It's just that the signals aren't there to make them move. And so I was like, "Okay, so what would it feel like?" Also, then she's in a different body, so she's in a body that hasn't atrophied, but so like it was it was Ming Na who I swapped with at that point, I believe, in the
Hmm.
first.
Yes, that first episode.
Yeah, Julia for a second, and then Ming. And I remember being like, okay, so the muscles aren't atrophied because it's someone else's body, but my familiarity with moving them is still, not really there. So what would it feel like? And I just remember thinking, like, I don't think she's aware of the weight of hands. Like, I think hands, like, the weight of them feels like a thing she's getting used to. And even just like the dexterity of fingers, like the things that are more nuanced than like, large limbed movements. And being like, I was like, I think she's really enjoying. I think there's some enjoyment and a little bit of fascination, but also, uh, yeah, it doesn't really get that you can, just drop your hands and those like
Yeah.
that. There's some kind of like connection to the weight of arms and hands that feels new. Um, and I remember a moment of eating a gooseberry or something.
Hmm.
There's like a little like berry and pulling and it's like, yeah, like that kind of like fine motor stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what does that feel like? And feeding yourself, and what
Uh-huh.
does it feel like to feel, feel food, like just like that kind of process. And I was even thinking like, to what extent can she feel like when she drinks something, like, can she feel her body? Is she
Hmm.
aware? So just trying to let everything be a discovery and to be really conscious, like trying to be consciously aware of like, well, what does it actually feel like in a body? Like, what does it feel like to be in a body? And it's amazing. I mean, like if you have any meditation practice or anything like that, you kind of know like you do body scans, and if you pay attention, you get surprised. Like
Hmm.
there's stuff that we're not consciously aware of in our own bodies all the time. So just trying to bring that sense of newness and discovery and like pleasure. I think that was the thing I wanted to explore with her, was just the pleasure of like touching and sipping, and and then of course it evolves, but that first episode.
It's funny because these people are in a dark place,
Mhm.
old,
Mhm.
cut off from humanity. You could describe it as purgatory in some cases.
Yeah, yeah.
The hell that some of those people were going through. No caffeine, no nicotine.
Mhm.
And then a person comes in who is in this same place as them and is free for the first
Yeah.
time in 15, 20 years. And it's like putting yourself in that place
Mhm.
and trying to understand, that while she's in this world, she
Mhm.
is she's free. That it's a wild sci-fi idea. And the fact that when it's over, she has to go back,
Yeah.
like she
Yeah.
this body is on loan,
On loan.
and the first
And
one
so,
couldn't make it. The Vanessa James, she
totally.
couldn't handle
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
know.
Doing and also the idea that accomplishing the mission means leaving this freedom, right? Like that, like I'm here to do a job, and once I'm done the job, that's it. And so I want to do the job well. It's like competing goals, right? Like I have the goal to like excel at what I do and to solve this problem that needs solving, and also solving that problem means I'm not needed anymore, and that means I need to go back. And I think that was a complicated thing to play.
Hey everyone, it's David. Hope you're enjoying the clips during the break. We will be returning in the spring. In the meantime, are you good with English? Are you one of those people who take pride in your grasp of it? Well, we have a great team over here transcribing the backed catalog of Stargate interviews and have dozens more to go. If you're interested in joining me and a small Stargate diehard community looking to preserve the stories brought to Dial the Gate into text form, then please email me at dialthegateshow@gmail.com. There's a little something in it for you, and you'll be helping to pass along the stories to future generations of fans who have yet to discover the show. Thanks so much for watching Dial the Gate.